Okay, thank you for joining us today. This is the annual members meeting. We'll talk about what's going on with ICEA. I want to welcome you to this thing. One of the big things that I've tried to do, and I'll go through a couple of preliminary slides before turning it over to Christina and Madeline and Arlene and Jennifer. But I really wanted to emphasize this year that this is your organization. Um, Sometimes we think that ICEA is just a bunch of officers running out of Washington somewhere. The strength of ICEA is in the chapters, and so several times today I'm going to try to emphasize the fact uh, that active chapters means an active organization. So I'd like to just kind of give you kind of an overview. So as you know, the purpose of ICEA, I want to describe where ICEA is going and how we are getting there together. I want to stimulate both your ideas and interest in helping. Uh, this is a volunteer organization. I've been involved in and led a host of volunteer organizations, and the word is volunteer. Without your help, we will not go far. And it's really easy if you're sitting back in outside of the local area to kind of think that your voice, your ideas are not important. Your voice, your ideas are critical. And so I would ask you to put comments in the chat. Don't hesitate to ask questions, raise your hand, whatever. The more transparent we are, the more we communicate, the better off the whole organization will be. So the vision. The vision is to be a vital, respected, indispensable, and growing community of practice composed of ICEA certified professionals recognized as best in class. And I will tell you that I am seeing more and more government and private solicitations asking, what are your certifications? I know there are some other organizations out there that offer some type of certification, and the Department of Defense and DAU, Defense Acquisition University, have some certifications. But the ICEA certification carries a lot of weight. So if you're not certified, I'd ask you to consider doing that. It sounds a little daunting. We have a pretty high success rate. We have great training programs. So it's pushed professional certification. The other vision of the organization is to be universally recognized for developing, disseminating, and advocating best practices. And we think that those things stay the same, but they really don't. I mean, now we're seeing data analytics and big data vision. And, you know, when I came into the business, if you could do simple regression analysis, you were at the top of the field. Now, simple regression analysis is a tool that's almost overlooked because of all the other multivariate analysis and artificial intelligence and machine learning and general data analytics. So we want to maximize the value of the global cost estimating analysis community, and you're going to hear more about our partnering with SCAG and with the Society for Cost Analysis and Forecasting in the UK, and NESMA in Netherlands and across Europe. And we really are trying to put the I, international, in ICEA, so that we can be a community that really supports the public and private sectors and their decision makers. So ICEA is an international nonprofit organization dedicated to advancing and promoting and enhancing cost estimating and analysis through the use of parametrics and other data-driven techniques. And that data-driven techniques is something that's, as I said just a minute ago, that's been added and is an emphasis that we didn't necessarily see before. We really strive to facilitate the success of cost estimating and the cost analysis community by providing members opportunities to learn, to teach, to collaborate, to present, and to network in a collegial environment. And I'll come back again. Some of that, the bulk of that, we think about happening at our ICEA international conferences. But more and more, I see the chapters putting together presentations and learning events. And I can just tell you, the more involved you are with your chapter, even just sharing and attending luncheons or get-together, the better it is for you, the more I'm likely to facilitate that success, and the better off we are as an organization in general. So we had 3 major strategic goals for 21-22. Create a community of technical excellence. I think we're doing that. Create a community of collaboration, and particularly the OEM COG, the original equipment manufacturers group, has really taken off. And to create a community of relevance. And I'll have to tell you, I believe ICEA and the ICEA certification is as relevant, if not more so, than it's ever been. We are critical to what's happening in the financial and cost analysis decision-making process. So I'm going to, at this point, turn it over to Christine Snyder, who's going to talk about the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics community engagement and where we are. And again, I'd ask you to raise your hand, do a chat, ask a question. This is your opportunity to directly interface with any of us. So, Christina?
Thanks, Bob. So yeah, Megan, can we hop over to the next slide? So some of you guys might remember back in 2021, during our online workshop, we had a little sidebar group where we were talking about ideas of how ICEA can get out there in the community and help empower the future of the STEM workforce. So this is really taking a nonprofit organization like ICEA, putting us as the current, I guess, the current community, and trying to say, hey, this is what our profession is. This is how we can help you, and really getting out there, boots on the ground, to strengthen and empower the future workforce. I like the idea of it's reaching beyond ourselves to support a worthy cause. And this would be hitting at the elementary, middle, high school, and college levels. Okay, next slide. So what's an example of that? One of the ideas we came up with last year was the Great American Teach-In. I know in Florida, this is a big thing. Unfortunately, with COVID, a lot of schools shut down to external visitors. I know mine did. So this is something that I have heard is going to be coming back this year, where as long as you are a approved volunteer at your local school district, you'll be able to go in and take some tools that ICEA has been generating to bring in and let them know what ICEA is, and maybe do a fun activity with the school to get the kids excited about math and science. During this year, during this year's workshop, in one of the breakout sessions, this was something that came up, and I loved it. It didn't even come from me, where, I was the facilitator of this idea in a previous year. This came from someone else wanting to be able to figure out a way to help out their local community. So I know that there are many of us within ICEA that are really excited about this. So you can reach out to your local schools and see if there is the availability for you to come in. And again, we're trying to generate materials that would be available at the elementary, middle, high school, and college level for you to get on the ground and show them what our community can do, and just some basic ideas of probability, of estimating, those kind of things. Next slide. How much impact could we have? So all I did was take the current members of ICEA and plot them on a map here. But look at this, we would be worldwide and being able to affect the future generations of people that will be doing probability. And by the nature of someone, I know there's a lot that has been published recently about, even with all the resources going to women in STEM, that there's still not a great representation after the 6th grade level. This is a big thing for me. And I think that for the women of ICEA, if we're going into the community just by being present, we represent that. We let little girls see themselves in the roles that we are in right now. And I think that's a huge impact that could be worldwide. So if you have ever generated materials, if you have some great ideas that you think would be good to use at any level, please feel free to share them. If you've had my previous email, my email address has recently changed. We should be able to have all of the materials that we've generated on the ICEA page by the end of this month. And then again, talk to the teachers in your community and see if they'd like to have you come in and volunteer and speak with them. I'm happy to stay on a little bit after this meeting if anyone wants to talk about this offline. And that's with all that, it's over to you, Arlene.
Okay, good. We'll let Arlene work technical problems and come back to her in just a minute. So I wanted to provide the professional development update for the organization. So let's go to the next slide. CCEA and PCEA certifications, we're holding pretty steady this year. We did kind of see a bit of a surge during COVID and had a few more certifications last year than normal. For the first half of this year, we're down a little bit on the CCEA and down a little bit on PCEA, but nothing significant. And feel like we will finish strong for this year. No issues there. Recertifications, I'm going to talk a little bit more on that in just a minute, but we've had 42 recertifications so far this year. We did 76 in 2021 and 81 in 2020. And going back, we kind of saw a little bit of fluctuation there from 80 to 97 in the 3 years prior. So we're on a good path for recerts. Have heard some concern from people about getting their points during COVID, that they weren't able to attend conferences. Am I going to be able to recertify without any issues? So I'm going to talk about some strategies for that in just a minute. We also, Bob and Christina both talked about the international component of ICEA. And we do have quite a few other countries with certified individuals, with Canada and UK kind of leading the pack there. But we also have certifications in Australia, Brussels, and Saudi Arabia and Egypt as well. Next slide. We've had 69 exams administered in 2020 through 2022 through the end of July. We had 156 in 2021, so you can see we're slightly behind a little bit, but I do expect a surge toward the end of this year. We had quite a few people express interest at the the conference or workshop, and who attended the training portion of that and were preparing for the exam. So some of those people still have not tested, so I'm expecting those to come through. Of the 69 exams that we've administered through the end of July, 50 of those were for industry and 19 were for government. And we have another 43 exams are scheduled already for the rest of the year. So we should do pretty well because I expect more on top of that. Next slide. Recertification. So how do I get my 30 points? If I wasn't able to go to conferences for 2 years, what can I do? It's really not that hard. So I just wanted to remind everybody kind of where you can get points and maybe advocate a little bit for the last item on here. Simply staying in the cost field, you get 3 points per year for that. So that's an easy hitter on getting points. I see a membership or other cost-related memberships get you a point a year. Attending conferences, 2 points per multi-day conference. Leadership roles in cost-related organizations, 3 points per year. So whether that's at the local level, the national level, regional level, people getting involved in leadership and taking on those roles. Joining committees or working groups. We had a lot of discussion of that during the workshop, and there's a lot of special interest. Bob mentioned the OEM COG, Christina mentioned STEM. We've got several other groups out there as well that you can take advocacy on. And there's 1 point per committee role per event publication. Also recognition for contribution to cost estimating related organizations can be 1 to 3 points. Completing university or college courses will get you 3 points per 3 credit hour course. attending association and industry trainings, 0.1 point per classroom hour, teaching and lecturing, 1 point per 90 minutes, writing, publishing, and non-refereed articles on cost estimating, 3 points per published article. So that's a big hitter. And then writing, published, refereed technical articles is up to 5 points per refereed article. And then the last thing here is you can submit up to 10 questions for each certification exam part, and you can get 1 point for each approved question. So that's a really easy way. If somebody is lagging behind, Kevin Sincata is always looking for us to add to our exam base for both the PCEA, the CCEA, and now we're going to have a new exam coming up, which is going to be the software cost estimating. So we're trying to put together a test database for that as well. Next slide. So CBOC. We've made some changes in CBOC. As you guys know, for the last couple of years, we did a beta test on, we were doing CBOC online, our wiki, and we have finalized that and released CBOC 2.0. So it is officially available to all of our ASEA members, and everything that is tested in the PCEA and CCEA exam is covered in CBOC 2.0. So as a member, you have free access to that. Just go online and you can utilize that. There is also enterprise access available for organizations who want to purchase that, who have a large number of individuals but are unable to purchase ICEA memberships for each user. You can get a large number of user licenses for that. Next slide. There's also electronic copies of the historical version 1.2 PowerPoint and Excel files. So version 1.2 of CBOC as well as CBOC 2.0 are consistent with each other, and they both cover everything that is currently tested in the exams. So if you want to own your own copy and not rely on the wiki, and you like that traditional feel of the PowerPoint and want to use the Excel files, those can still be purchased. All right. New things that are coming up. So CBOC S, which is our software. We've been talking about that for a couple years. Big investment was made by the organization to build up our software CBOC, and we'll be releasing that this fall. So our initial release this fall is just going to be the PowerPoint with notes version. We will in the future add a wiki, but for right now, we wanted to get these materials out to you. It's a lot of really great information, and we think it's good for the whole organization. So that will be available for purchase. Sorry, it's not free yet. We will take some investment to get us to that wiki to where we can share it with everybody for free. But right now, if you're excited about that and you're interested in potentially taking the exam in the future, you can purchase CBOC S online. And then we are building our software estimating certification exam. Hope to have that soon. Right now, we have a bank of 50 questions built up, but we believe we need about 75 in order for us to have a good exam with a large enough database of exam questions that we can draw from to have a strong exam. So if anybody has any interest in that, please reach out to me or to Megan and let me know if you'd be interested in writing questions for that, and we can work with you on that. That is a specific need that we have right now, that we really are looking for volunteers to help us write those exam questions so we can launch that exam as soon as possible. Next slide. And then online training. So we've been investing as an organization to improve our capacity to provide you guys with online training. And so we're implementing a new system that will provide on-demand purchasing and viewing of training videos. There'll be special pricing for members, but also non-members will be able to purchase those as well. We'll be adding additional content on a regular basis. And these training videos can also be used for certification points. So again, if you're worried about how you're going to get enough points for your recertification so that you don't have to sit for the exam, the purchase of online training is another good method for that as well. So we're pretty excited about that, and to bring you guys more video content that you can use on demand. And I think that was it, Megan.
Yes, indeed. Arlene, are you with us again? Okay, we're gonna move on to Madeline.
Hey, thanks, Megan. Just a quick update on our financial position. I'm Madeline Teller. I'm the treasurer of ICEA, and it's overall good news. The 2022 outlook was initially rather grim, a bit of uncertainty there, given the uncertainty of how the workshop was going to go. Fortunately, our Pittsburgh workshop went very well. It was our first in-person workshop since COVID, and we had higher than expected registration, which was about 350 people, and it helped us avoid room attrition fees and secure more revenue, and that was crucial to us, coming out where we did this year. The ICEA Canada workshop was unfortunately canceled, so we lost out a little bit there with ICEA Canada. We helped offset the financial penalty they had to pay for that cancellation. A couple other notable expenses is we are now giving out chapter funding for the first time since COVID really got started. And as Bob mentioned earlier, having active chapters means you have a strong, active organization, so it's a good thing. And then just our typical operations costs. We have staffing, functions such as accounting, IT, and then that new learning management system for some of the trainings that Jennifer just touched on. And finally, we will be increasing our dues, which Megan will talk to, but that's going to be overall for the organization. It will help us keep running, keep operating as normal. This is just a snapshot of our revenue over time since March of 2022. It just shows our actuals as we're going throughout. There's 5 main categories, but you'll really notice that the workshop line and the total line bumped up in May of 2022, and then they dropped back down. And that's just because we still had some outstanding bills, but we were really starting to see the revenue from our Pittsburgh workshop. So that's good. Also, a couple other notes is our membership and operations. We've been purchasing, again, like the learning management system. We've been continuing to have to remain open, make sure that our IT and all our various systems are in order. All right, moving on to the next one. We have the CBOC and certification. Where this works. No, we're good. Yeah, so CBOC and certification, about 40K there. Nothing too exciting. And finally, really the total, we came in at a loss of about 33,000, but that's not the end of the world based on where we were in March. That's actually very, very positive. All right. Okay. So this is just a balance sheet over time back to 2014, showing, really where our total liquidity is between our investments and our checking. And so we're doing a little better than we were doing in 2020 and 2021. So again, it could be a lot worse. Chalk it up to a pretty successful year. Hand it over to Megan.
Oh, I just muted myself when I thought I was unmuted. Sorry about that. All right, so what I'm going to do is actually, since we haven't gotten Arlene back yet, I'm going to do a pause and just quickly go through her slides for her. Okay. So Arlene's been a member of ICEA for 20 years and really appreciates the opportunity to serve the organization. And she is bringing to us the reasons why she continues to serve ICEA as a board member, to support the cause community and participate in training and certification, to support efforts to improve technical lessons in ICEA products and services, and the opportunity to meet and work with some awesome people. And we're an awesome organization. I'm glad to have everybody here, and I'm glad to hear everybody thinks that. So if that's any inspiration for anyone looking to get more involved, we're always glad to have more help. As the secretary, her goals for the term are to address the obvious duties of the secretary, attending all the board meetings and participating in the executive committee, working with my office to facilitate accurate and timely record keeping for the board meetings, facilitating communication between the board and membership, and working with the International Business Office to create and maintain policies and procedures, and finally act as the corporate secretary and legal officer for ICEA. Other board duties of the secretary include promoting the president's agenda and objectives, supporting and advancing CBOC-S initiative through material reviews, promoting and supporting member participation in the annual conference and other ICEA-sponsored events, supporting conference committees where possible and practical, and promoting ICEA growth by spreading the word to the cross community. And I hope that gets everybody thinking about what's going on, which is what I am going to move on to. Okay. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Megan Jones. I'm the executive director. I am here in the International Business Office with Sharon Berger. We keep your association running from day to day while you guys are at your day jobs. A little bit about ICEA this year. This is data as of the end of last week. So we have 1,218 members. Of them, 999 are in the US, about 82%, and then of those 218 or 18% are international outside of the US. Within the US, we've got about 802 in the industry and 198 who work for the government. These are folks whose paychecks get signed by Uncle Sam. A lot of you work for the government, but not for the government. So these are folks who work for the government. Within the government, about 162 or 13% of the overall membership is for the US DOD and related departments there, and then other government agencies are only about 3% with 36 of you. Within the industry folks, 101 work for OEMs and another 701 are with consulting firms and other companies, and as well as academia. We have a fair number of folks who work at colleges and universities. And that's the overall snapshot. So of upcoming news, this got mentioned once or twice already. The dues are going up on October 1st. That means until September 30th, you can extend or renew your membership at the rates that we are at now. Even if your membership doesn't expire for a little while, you can always add another year at the current price. If you know you're going to be sticking around for a while, the dues are going all up across the board by about 20%. So this could be a good opportunity for you to get in while the getting's good. And then very shortly after, it's a short month. The deadline for the call for papers is November 1st. This is the 75-word summary of your abstract and your 75-word bio. This is what tells our review committee why you should be presenting in San Antonio at the Hyatt Regency, May 16 through 18. So you need to get all your information and get all your self-promotion tidied up in a nice 75-word bundle, and we'll go over it. Those folks whose abstracts are accepted will be notified around December 1st, and then the rest of the process will go. Those of you who've done it before, you know the routine. If you want to qualify for a best paper award, you have to submit a narrative form with paragraphs and stuff, white paper, by the end of February. And otherwise, if you don't plan on submitting a paper, you have to have a draft of your PowerPoint by around that time. So start thinking about what you want to talk about when we're in San Diego, because it is going to be, or it's not San Diego, San Antonio. It's going to be a real good time. We're right on the water, right on the river walk. So it's going to be a fun place to be outside of ICEA if you have any energy after we've kept you busy from practically 7 to 7 every day. Another thing that'll be happening at the 2023 workshop are the ICEA awards. Those aren't due until March 15th, but sometimes the nominations can be a little daunting. So start thinking about them now. These are the awards that we give out to the outstanding ICEA members who've made a difference in the profession. There are individual awards and team awards. The Junior Analyst of the Year award is great for your young and upcoming professionals, as well as those who have been parts of the community forever, who have been inspiration to us all. So start preparing for those. You'll be hearing about it through emails and on LinkedIn and as we go closer to. Another thing that's happening later this year is the election for the next board. The 2023 term will be starting July 1st. So if you want to run for any of the positions that are listed here, you need to let us know by filling out a form at iceaonline.com/leadership by January 9th. There are also region directors. Those will be done by a separate election, a separate ballot process, and only the folks in each individual region will be voting for their region directors. So if you're interested in these, start thinking about that and get your declaration of intent to run in. And if you want to be your region representative on the board, start preparing for that as well. And we'll be moving towards that part once we get the overall election started. And then in chapter news, our chapters who are doing great things, next week, September 19th, if you're in the DC area, swing on by the Technomics office for the Washington Capital Area Chapter Annual Meeting. They're going to be giving away chapter awards, as well as a keynote speaker, Stephen Loftus. That's Thursday, starting at 4:30 in Arlington. But if you're anywhere else and you would like to watch something, you can tune in on the 28th, the day before, for the Southern California webinar, Digital Engineering Implications on Weapons System Costs by Brittany Clayton from RAND Corporation. That's going to be on the 28th at 11:30 a.m. Pacific. You can sign up for that at iceaonline.com/SoCal, or you can find it on the calendar on the main page of iceaonline.com. We got, moving on to your questions. Actually, before I go to questions, I want to open it back up to the executive committee. Does anybody want to comment on anything up to this point?
You know, I'm never one to stay quiet. So with that, I just want to really put out there with the awards, we do a lot of great stuff. This community, it surprises me with how much good work we do. And I really think that if we start thinking now, thinking of who you would want to nominate and people who are really deserving of these awards, we have plenty of them. So please make sure that you are nominating your peers. And then as far as the leadership positions go, being a part of this executive board is incredible, and it helps steer the direction that this organization will go. I really am here if anyone wants to reach out and ask what it's like to be a board member, what the time commitment is. Please reach out to any of us board members. I know we'd be happy to answer any of those questions, because it's a great way to give back to this community.
All right, so we got one question sent in advance, and this was from a UK resident who wanted to know what the plans we have in the next few years for an active chapter in the UK and Europe. As far as the UK is concerned, our sister organization, SCAF, the Society for Cost Analysis and Forecasting, they serve as our chapter in the UK. If you need to get a hold of them, they're over at scaf.org.uk. If you want to reach out to somebody individually, send me an email or send an email to icea@iceaonline.org, and we'll connect you there. Also, we have a great working relationship with NESMA in the Netherlands. They're at nesma.org, and they are also, if you're overseas or planning to be there, they're having a meeting, a conference on October 4th. Information on that is also available on the ICEA website. We got one question from the chat, and it's also actually international. This one comes from Karen Marikas, and the question is, are there any plans to host or co-host an international conference or workshop in the near future, seeing as we used to, or at least one of our parent organizations did one every 4 or so years? We were also very much in the intention to do them every 4 years, and then this silly little COVID thing happened, which kind of upset a bunch of apple carts as far as gathering people together. So we're going to, those take a little time to plan as well as execute. So I would think it would be in the next few years, once everything is finally settled down, the odds of folks being able to travel internationally increase, and the the situation is right for us to do it. We don't want to have an international meeting just to have it. It's got to provide value for everyone as well as the organization, and we'll make sure that goes well. But in the meantime, again, you can check out conferences by NESMA that we're supporting, as well as there are a few others that we support throughout the year from groups like the Project Controls Expo and some others. And then we got another one. It's less of a question, but I did offer to unmute. So let's say, Karen, are you there? Do you want to give us a plug about your item?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes, so this is Karen Marikas. I am the president of the Southern California chapter of ICEA. And our chapter earlier this year decided to develop a design to cost training course, a 1-hour overview of what design to cost is, because we felt that that was a gap in the CBOC content. So this training course, although it is not an official CBOC module, we do want to make it available to the entire community. We're actually making quite a bit of progress on it. It had a slow start because we are all volunteer and it's hard to find time to get everybody together and to actually do some work on things like this. But we are making a lot of progress much more recently, where we've picked up the pace, and we plan to preview it at our December Southern California workshop, which at this point is going to be face-to-face. It's our first face-to-face workshop in about 2 or 3 years since before COVID. So anyway, if anyone is interested in the design to cost training course, seeing the content, the face-to-face webinar in December, the face-to-face workshop in December, we will still have webinar available, or WebEx available, or I guess Zoom. So if you are not in the Southern California area, you can always call in and see what we are unveiling. So I just wanted to let people be aware of that.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen. We got another question just came in right now from Peter Braxton asking how the online training videos will be prioritized and if we have any particular topics planned. I believe the very first ones we'll be putting up were the recordings of the CBOC training that were geared towards exam preparation that we made in 2021. Those will be the first ones available. We'll also be uploading some additional videos as they come. So the short version is we're going to start with all the CBOC stuff that everybody wants and needs for their certification and for preparing for the exam. So it was just suggested that we show off the front page here to show everybody what we're looking for and what we're looking at. So the first up is this gallery here of images that will give you information on some of the things that are coming up. There's some more webinars that are going to be happening soon. Also, when you scroll down past our fabulous videos starring some of your executive committee members here about what cost estimating is and who ICEA is, and little 2-minute videos that are great to watch and share with others. Sometimes, you know, if you don't know how to tell grandma what it is you do for a living, you can send them to one of these videos. And then we have the events calendar on the side here under upcoming events. If you click on this, it would go straight to that, but you can also look at the calendar and see what everything is coming up. And not all of these are ICEA related things. There was an event last week that we helped promote, and we try to keep information on those things up there for you so you can find them easily. Another few little tips and tricks for the front page of the website. If you want to get information on the workshop, go ahead to the ICEA workshop drop-down menu. I need to make the 23 one. We don't have registration open for that yet, but that'll be there shortly. If you want to go read back issues of ICEA World, Cost Estimating News Brief, the archive, journal, that's all under publications. And then this link here that says Papers Library is actually the same link as this ICEA Archives. And this is a great tool. I know a lot of you guys use it. The archives have all of the proceedings from about 2007 to 2022 listed here with a nice searchable box that can pull up. You can use a keyword, you can use a name, it'll search in any of these fields. So if there's something you're looking for that has been presented at some point during ICEA and some of SCIA and ISPA, for those of you who don't know, those were our parent organizations, then those are all there for you to peruse and review as you like. I just got a question. I just got another question about, let's see. All right, Bill Barfield, if you wanted to, you said you wanted to speak about recruiting in STEM associations?
All right, Megan. I've presented some of my ICEA papers in mathematical association meetings, Society of Industrial Applied Mathematics, which I'm members of, was considering also an ASA, American Statistical Association. I'm a member of these professional organizations besides ICEA, and I know many of our members can be members of similar organizations. These organizations, when I presented the papers, members attending were amazed or tickled that costing involved mathematics and applications in the real world, as well as just playing with money. There's an opportunity there, and I talked to Bob about this a week ago, Bob Hunt. Perhaps recruiting or presenting of papers in some of these societies will bring more visibility to the ICEA or the cost profession. I think that if we can, maybe Christine and I or the association can approach these organizations who are the ones I've talked to are really listen up. There's always room for more expanding of the opportunities in these organizations to find out what the rest of the world's doing, opportunities for their new members, especially the up and coming members in these professional associations. So I think there's an opportunity there, besides recruiting on campus or at high schools, to recruit within professional organizations such as Mathematical Association, American Statistical Associations. So perhaps I would talk with Christina at a later date.
No, I think that's a great idea. One that honestly I hadn't considered. And when we reached out to Sam Savage and we're giving him the background on what we did, he had never heard of us. And he's like, how have I never heard of you guys? So I completely think this is an incredible way to go. Really glad you spoke up. And of course, you know how to get a hold of me. So let's try to connect sometime soon and kind of get a list of these. And I'm happy to reach out as the vice president role.
Do we have a good idea, Christina? In our membership profiles, I know I list my 3 or 4 outside of ICEA professional STEM associations. Perhaps other members do, and that might be a good place to at least get a trolling of what other associations we could consider, or reaching out to some of our current ICEA members who are members of other associations. Would they consider presenting a paper or approaching the various special interest groups or working groups of the associations for ICEA's presentations?
That sounds great. Thank you. Great idea, Bill. So I'm going to turn it back over to Bob to give us a couple of closing comments. That'll give everybody else, if there's any more burning questions in anyone's mind, I'll give you a few minutes to get them in the chat. Let's see.
And I think I'm off of mute now. So yeah, Megan, thank you. Thank you to all who attended today. I want to make kind of 3 closing comments. The May workshop in San Antonio is a great place to visit, and a great workshop is starting. Megan mentioned it already. Get your papers in. I think I actually submitted one yesterday. So was I the first one? Does the first one mean anything?
You get the cookie, right?
I get the cookie. We've said it a couple times. Chapter events are critical. Don't hesitate to call me directly, or Megan, or Christina, or any of the officers if you need support for a chapter event. More than happy to do that. And I guess I'd close my comments by saying this is your organization. Call us, email us, let us know what's on your mind. We're here to serve you, and by serving you, we build the community of practice we're after. I have nothing else unless someone else does. Thank you. A wonderful day.